What is going on, guys, and welcome to the channel. It's James here from How To Games, bringing you another 100% walkthrough video. In today's video, I'm going to do a walkthrough of the third world in Mulaka, Reso, Rekubi. So, let's get into it. So, here we are, third world of Mulaka, and this is kind of an introduction area to the world. There's a mini part to the world before you get into the meat of the world here. So, the first thing that happens in here is that we're introduced to the bird mechanic, or the bird transformation. So you will use the bird transformation quite a bit in this new world here, and even in this first part you will be introduced to quite a bit of it. A couple tips for using the bird transformation is there will always be wind paths, like you could see in the right corner there. You would always want to use those. And if there is magic balls, those big purple balls, those are magic balls. You want to collect those when you're flying because you only have a limited amount of magic. As you can see, your magic meter is the third meter on the top right. So you're only a limited to amount of magic. But if you collect magic on the way, as you see there, my magic meter will gain magic, so I will have enough magic to travel further distances. Here I just dispose of these enemy types here. Nothing too crazy at all. And I collect some korma. Now we go and we transform again, and then we go up this path. Which will, once I dispose of this frog here. So I want to go up this path here, and this is kind of where the level begins. This is basically where the level really begins, and it's basically a transformation to another world, I guess, is what their interpretation is. So what we want to do is use our vision, and now that will trigger the gateway or the portal to the world. So now we are in the meat of the level. This is where you basically have like you follow the pattern of all the other levels. It is, so you will have to collect the 3 mythical stones. Now becomes a little bit more complicated with more elements, as you will see, but it's really basically the same thing. So we want to collect the 3 mythical stones and move on to the boss at the end. First thing you want to do is trigger the door, and then you want to complete this water puzzle, which will come into play later in the stage of this level. Another little tip here is that you will run into enemies that you cannot see. So with your regular vision, so you will have to use your vision, your special vision, to see a lot of the enemy types in this world. So you complete the first puzzle, and that raises the water level in that reservoir. Now we will want to make our way through the door. As soon as we dispose of some of the enemies and collect a lot more resources. So once again, I recommend that you use your vision to see where the next mythical stone would be located. So it tells me, yes, indeed, I have to go through this triggered door area, and that will bring me to the next area. So all I have to do here is use a bomb, and we'll continue on. Now, what they're telling me here is that I've got to use my vision, because we are introduced to a new enemy type. Now, this enemy doesn't harm you per se, but as you can see, I cannot make a transform into a bird because of that enemy. So I have to dispose of that enemy in order to go on further. So I use my vision and I dispose of those enemy types, and now I am free to make these jumps or these jumps onto the next part. Another little thing or a little trick to help you with the jumps is to use the shadowing of your character, and that will help you, give you an idea of where you're going to land. Once again, we meet up with our friend the pheasant, and he is going to help us move on to the next part. So here we are, and we are about to trigger another little battle sequence here. Really isn't too much to this battle sequence. Nothing, no really difficulty here. It's just you have your regular swarm of enemies that you need to overcome. It's always a good thing to use your finishers when you are overwhelmed. So as you can see here, I got my finisher probably at the right time, and I was quite overwhelmed at that point, so I just used it, and it defeated all the enemies in the area. So that's something that I recommend. If you do happen to get your finisher way before a battle area, save it until you get into that battle area and when you need it, because it will be really beneficial when you get into these battle sequences to dispose of those enemies rather quickly. So continuing on, we have another puzzle here. Nothing too crazy here with the puzzles. Just continue on to make sure that all of them get the water, and that will once again raise up the water in the reservoir. So now you would want to pay attention to the collect the first mythical stone. So in this level, it's kind of tricky because you do collect korma in those pots, but in this case, they are located, the mythical stones are located in those pots. So it is best to collect them. or else you won't even continue on anyways. But, and as you can see, the next one is over there, but we can't reach it. So we triggered the doorway, so that's where we're gonna go. And we are going to be, when we enter through this door, we're going to be introduced to a new enemy. So what we want to do is basically to dispose of this enemy, you're not going to be able to get close to it. So you're going to have to use your spear, and that's what you do. You collect your spear and throw at that enemy, and that will dispose of him. So once again, I recommend that you use the player's or character's shadowing as an idea of when you are over the platform, because these platforms do get a little tricky here. Okay, we've made it, and now we are in another little battle sequence here. And as I can recall, this one becomes a little bit more challenging. So I want to use my vision at that point to dispose of those. So now we have 2 of these rock type bowls, and it can get quite dicey fighting against 2 of these enemy types. But like I said before in the last episodes, always just run in a clockwise motion is the best way to dispose of those enemies while they are dashing at you. I find that the dodge mechanic is not a proven or a great way of dodging those enemy types. And once I dispose of this mantis man here, or this other one here too, so there we go. That is the second battle arena. And now we are on to another water puzzle. This is the third and final puzzle, I believe. Not quite. Yes, I think it is the final one in this area, in this world. So once again, there really isn't too much to this other than there really isn't too much to it. If you do find that you're getting a little bit confused, always start from the ending and work your way back to where the water flows. Is another way to solve some of these puzzles. So that's what I did here, and it kind of helped me kind of gauge of, okay, what do I need to do? And I can see, okay, there we go, and I'll start to get the water flowing, and then it will give me a good idea, okay, this is what I need to do. And we are on the last little bit here. And there we go. The reservoir is full. Now, this will become apparent to you why you need to do this later. But, okay, so now the next thing we want to do is jump onto that platform and then jump onto this platform. Now, this one is kind of hidden to you, so you wouldn't really know what to do. But you've got to jump that one, jump the other one, and that will give you your second mythical stone. Now, this is where the reservoir comes into play. To get across, you probably could get across that reservoir without filling it up. But it becomes a whole lot easier when you do fill it up, like you see here, because I can do it easily in 2 jumps with with the bird transformation. So there is a door trigger here, but I decide to dispose of these mantis men over here first. Okay. And I will trigger the door, and that brings me back to the other side. So now I've got to make my way back to the other side. Now that door is pointing right straight north, well, north of where I need to be. It's actually right up above me. So the fastest way is, you can have two options. You can go this way that I'm going right now, which is the recommended way, but you can also get to that pathway from through the other path that you just chose the last time. But I find that this path is a little bit easier and quicker to do, so that's what I chose to do here. A little bit simpler platforming. Mr. Pheasant helps me up. And now that door is kind of hidden from where you are, but it's right of that path. And now you go up, and this will trigger another battle sequence here. Now this one becomes increasingly difficult. I believe that there is a lot more difficult enemies in this battle sequence. Let's see here. So here we have a couple of mantis men, a couple of flying mantis with their power. So once again, to dispose of them at this moment, you'll want to throw your spear at them. Now that was kind of a little bit not great. That that hit didn't really register on that enemy. So the game goes a little bit buggy here on me. So the last enemy type, which I should have hit, really doesn't register, and you could see there that I took an attack that really wasn't necessary. But anyways, I finally get him, and now this triggers a new enemy type. So this is a more advanced type, and basically it shows you right here. You dodge. You have to dodge this enemy. There is no other reliable way of defeating this enemy without dodging at the right precise moment. So all it is timing. Dodge. So I actually pressed the wrong button there. So right when he gets right in front of you, you want to dodge. And all it is timing. So once you have your timing down, this enemy becomes quite simple just by himself. So you want to create some distance so you have time, so you can time your dodge. Once you do, he will open up and free himself for attacks. And you just want to repeat this until you fully dispose of him. And that will give you the last mythical stone in this world. So, now that we have completed getting the 3 mythical stones, we can now proceed on to the gate. Another little tidbit is to, if you feel like you don't have enough resources, or you feel like you don't have enough resources, you can always go back through the world and collect enough resources that you need, or that you think you'll need to complete the boss. So that's what I do as I'm on my path. I just collect a little more resources and make my way on to the next phase of this world. So we aren't quite finished yet. There's a little bit more left here before we meet this world's boss. So once again here, we actually have some enemies, so I will dispose of them. But you can see there that we have the pheasant ones again. So he comes into play, so we will have to catch him, but I like to deal with one thing at a time. So we'll try to catch Mr. Pheasant here, which I do, and he will be so very gracious to help us get on our way to the boss here. So he will give you a little boost, and as soon as he does, you want to fly, and that will get you to the first platform, and from there you can just make your way using your transformation to get to the next part. So here you want to ensure that you collect the magic, or else you won't have enough magic to get across to the other side. Now, as you can see there, that's what happened to me. Another little tip, make sure before you make a long jump, your magic is full, or else you will fall to your death just like I did. And that is it for this world. And that will bring you to the final boss in this level. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in another 100% walkthrough video.